Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of We Watch Shudder. My name is Michelle. That was maybe too much energy. Who's here with me?
It's JD, and frankly, we're going to need some of that energy because this is take two.
Yeah, you're already frustrated, and we're only 23 seconds
I'm not so frustrated. I've had a decent day. I'm a little miffed, but I took my medication, and so, at least it didn't happen like 30 minutes into the episode or an hour into the episode. So, yeah. Here we are, take two. Michelle in review.
Take Two Video. Do you remember them? I do.
I do. The Take Two Video kid works at the Sanctuary now and also helps book shows at the aquarium, and he plays in a band called Baltic to Boardwalk. His name's Jack. He's a good dude.
Jack sounds awesome because Take Two Video over Blockbuster every day.
Oh, for sure. You remember the kid from the Take Two commercials, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, if you saw Jack, you've seen him. You've seen Jack at the Sanctuary. He does audio sometimes for Time Bomb shows.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, you will have to point him out to me so I can be like, hey, loved your commercial back in the 90s.
Oh, he gets it constantly all the time. His parents owned the franchise.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, way to go, Jack.
Anyway,
your family did some good work.
To bring it back around, I saw so many good horror movies that I wouldn't have been able to see any other way because of Take Two Video, because they would carry a lot of stuff that, like, certainly Blockbuster wouldn't carry. Between Take Two Video and Premiere Video here in Fargo, I got to see some wild shit that I never expected. I got to see a movie called 3 on a Meat Hook. You do some Googling on that one. That movie is fucking weird. But
that sounds
anyway.
like too many to have on a meat hook.
Yeah, well, if memory serves, they weren't all on the same meat hook.
Okay.
But it's a poorly worded title then at that point. Anyway.
Definitely very concerned.
We're not here to talk about the halcyon days of video rental. We're here to talk about Michelle's insatiable appetite for content consumption. The whole reason this episode exists. Please, fill them in, Michelle.
Yeah, so hello, welcome to Michelle in Review. I am Michelle. This is me in review. We do it every month, and it's my favorite episode because my name is in the title. And also, I get to unleash my crazy. I love when I have an actual way to unleash my crazy. There are sometimes inappropriate ways to release my crazy. For example, I have never put a sticker on my laptop before until we got squelching subtitle stickers. Message the page if you want one. I'll mail them out. I'm a cool person. And we got these squelching subtitle stickers, so I put one on my laptop, and then somebody came up to ask me about it, and I took out my headphones, and I pushed my laptop to the side so I could tell them all about the squelch files, and when they saw me take both headphones out, and, like, really, they were like, I regret starting this conversation.
I have made a terrible mistake.
I even commented, I was like, you're about to get told a lot because I'm pushing everything aside, and they're like, yeah, I'm kind of scared. I was like, you should be. Let me preach.
That's fantastic.
So, sometimes people ask me a question that they did not actually want the answer to. So that's on them.
That's right up there with talking about the descrippy script in your work meeting.
The descrippy script. Yeah, I'm a fucking professional. Today, I said in a meeting at work something like, I have 2 modes, professional and businesswoman and video game gremlin. And one of my coworkers chuckled, but I don't think they were laughing at the video game part. I think they were laughing at the fact that I think I'm a professional businesswoman, and that hurt.
Well,
I'm professional as fuck.
They don't listen to this. They don't listen to this podcast. So you know what? Fuck them.
Yeah, fuck them.
Fuck them.
Unless you listen, then I'm definitely not talking about you.
Right.
I said that in 2 meetings, and you weren't in the other one. Okay. So, Michelle in Review, ever since I've started tracking what I watch every month in a spreadsheet so that I could really, I just needed to catalog it. It felt like I was consuming a lot of things and not doing anything with it. And I feel very guilty when I'm doing something that isn't productive. So this was a way to still watch movies, but be like, it has a purpose now. So thank God for the podcast. But now as long as I hit 60 lines on the spreadsheet each month. I'm content. I
60,
almost
guys.
didn't.
60. That's 2
60.
titles a day, every day, all month long, and that's her fucking minimum goal.
Yeah, that is the standard I set for myself. And I do say 60 lines on the spreadsheet, not 60 movies, because I do, if I watch like a TV series, that's 1 line on the spreadsheet.
Right,
So even if
60
it's like 23
titles.
episodes. So yeah, so I just have to have 60 things on there. In August, despite having a bad mental health month, we'll get to that in a bit because I did find a way to make that very productive in a crazy way. I was able to add 65 things to my list in August, and that includes 58 movies, 6 seasons of TV shows, including True Detective Season 4. More on that in a moment. And then I didn't know how to classify this, but Darkness Unlimited, the people who made In Search of Darkness and First Person Shooter, which is about the history of first person shooter video games and is incredible. One of my favorite documentaries. They have a Darkness Unlimited streaming channel website. And they are putting out a new project that I backed on Kickstarter. And so I got access to that. And basically I watched everything that was available to me. It was mostly interviews with gigantic legends, John Carpenter and Kane Hodder and just Freddy Krueger. Oh my God, why did I call him Freddy Krueger? As far as I'm concerned, that's all he is. But so it was huge names and I watched like everything and that took me like a week. But I guess that definitely cut into my movie watching ability. It was great. But yeah, so watched a whole bunch of things and then got very manic mid month. If you're listening now, this isn't me manic. This is my base level. So I had a lot of energy. I had a lot and I needed to do something with that. And I am very good at channeling it. I'm medicated. I'm fine. I'm not a danger to anybody but myself. So what I did was at 3 a.m, I could not sleep because I decided that the We Watch Shudder website needed a log of every horror movie that hits any like theatrical release, festival, anything. It needed a detailed spreadsheet with all of those release dates, the writer, the director, special notes about it. And I basically put that together in 3 days and didn't sleep. So that's how I channeled that. And that will be coming to the website in 2025. It looks beautiful. I'm very proud because it was a way for me to take my existing spreadsheet and make it even more insane and more detailed and say like it came out on this day in this country. I am only putting horror, thriller, and horror adjacent on there. Please do not make me start adding drama and comedy and everything else.
Michelle, before we even get into Michelle in review, then, first of all, lovely idea. Thanks for telling me. But no, it's fine. You do whatever the fuck you want with the website. We've already been over this. But let me just clarify. Is this a spreadsheet of like titles in the past or of stuff that's upcoming?
So it will be cataloging everything from 2025 and beyond.
So it's stuff that hasn't been released yet.
Unless you're like looking in September 2025, then past dates will be on there.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
But okay, so I see what you're saying. You're not going to remove things as we go.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
And I needed to start it in 2025.
So what you're saying is you are basically trying to use your manic superpowers to turn WeWatchShutter.com into the ultimate one-stop resource for knowing when anything horror, thriller, or adjacent is going to be released and where it will be released.
Here's where I got the idea. You ask me at the end of every year before we do our year in review what movies came out that year.
Yeah.
And I always have to get you a list of things that I know we've seen. And now I'm just going to have a spreadsheet because people will ask me at the end of the year, like, what even came out? And I'm just going to have it for them because I'm going to catalog this for myself anyway as like a must watch. I may as well share it.
I do be asking quite frequently. Even for these episodes, Michelle typically has to remind me of shit that I saw this month because I can't remember how long ago I saw it and whether or not I've talked about it already. It's pretty rad to have a memory that doesn't work. Anyway.
Yeah, so
I remember what I saw. I just don't remember when I saw it, I think, is what I want to clarify.
That's fair. Currently, I'm actually surprised that 2025 only has 370 titles that are cataloged, because so many things don't have release dates that far in advance, but I do have some.
Seriously, Michelle, I'm not even going to fuck around. Once you launch this thing, I'm going into full fucking annoying PR mode. I'm going to drop links to fucking Dread Central and Bloody Disgusting and all these different places.
Blocked from all the sites.
Just be like, yeah, we'll get blocked from all of them.
Oh, no.
Just, it's just an aggregator but that would be awesome. That could be a hook that gets a lot of people listening to us, Michelle.
Oh, you're trying to use my superpower for...
For good. Do you use your powers for good or for awesome, Michelle? And we're trying to use them for awesome.
That's fair. And I will say, IMDb, I did try going on there and just making a list, but their release dates are not accurate. Because if something gets released in Spain at a festival, that's not the same as widely released for everybody available around the world. And I do need to have both of those because I am a huge fan of international horror, especially Indonesia right now. Fuck, I got some stuff to say about that. But I love international films, and often they'll say like, this came out in 2023. And then they're like, oh, but it's actually released in the US in late 2024 because when it came out in 2023, it was only available to this one city in Peru. And so
for 3 days.
For 3 days, and then that's the official date on IMDb. And I couldn't find a way to... It drives me crazy. This is why I have my own spreadsheet. And that information sometimes changes. They'll say it came out on this day, and I look and I go, no, it actually came out a week earlier. It got a limited theatrical release, but it's still like widely... Like enough people saw it that you should be counting that. I get very bothered by it. So I am making my own list. IMDb is great, but it does not suit my needs, and so everybody can have access to my spreadsheet. And hopefully they enjoy it.
That's
I hope
wonderful.
they like it. I put way too much effort into it.
So in the first take of Michelle in Review, I guess I should clarify. Are you ready to move into the meat of this Michelle in Review?
I am, and I am doing a little bit of restructuring.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention. You said something in the first take that you were doing some restructuring, and then I lost all contact. What's going on?
Yeah, my restructuring, for people who have listened in the past, the way it has gone is an overview of whatever series I watched, because every month I watch a horror movie series, except August. I did fail that for the first time in 10 months, 11 months. I did not watch an entire horror series. Yeah. It was going to be Child's Play, but like I said, bad mental health month. I did play 2 entire video games because I needed to forget that the world existed. I was not in a great headspace. I'm fine, you guys. I'm very open about the fact that sometimes my brain just breaks. It's not my fault.
See a therapist and take your meds, kids. See
exactly. It's fine if you sometimes
go ahead and
break.
call him
I'm
a shrink as long as you
anybody.
see him. Just and take your meds.
Wish I could. I'm on a
just
wait
take your
list.
meds. Yeah, you and me
yeah.
both.
So
you're
if
trying,
you
and that's what matters.
Exactly. I don't even really need a therapist, but I think I just need a better outlet than our podcast. Sometimes I'm like, I really got to talk about my mommy issues, and all my friends know this already.
Michelle, I'm going to say this one time and one time only. Your bartender is not therapy. Your barber is not therapy.
Well,
your best friend is not therapy. Your podcast
my hairstylist is my friend.
Is not
is
therapy.
Oh, okay. I'm starting to understand. I'm starting to understand where I'm going wrong, because I thought all those things were therapists. I was like, I don't have friends. I have therapists. I have people that wait, if they're not my therapists, why do I have to give them a copay every time we hang out?
Stand-up comedy is not therapy.
Well, that one I will argue.
Playing music is not therapy.
Well, now you're just being divisive.
Go to therapy.
Therapy is
if you
free,
can. Anyway.
My therapist came to my burlesque show once, and that was really cool. And because of HIPAA,
And
she
not
didn't want to
awkward
like.
at all.
No, she was real. I loved my therapist. I don't think she's in the area anymore. I cannot find her.
Aw.
But she came to burlesque, and I wasn't performing. I was hosting, but very naked people I was interacting with. And because of HIPAA, she like saw me in the crowd and did like a little nod and then turned away. And I came up to her, I was like, "Oh my God, hey, everybody, my therapist is here." And so I was like, if you need therapy, go to her. She's great. And she's like, "I wasn't sure if you'd want me to out myself." I was like, "I will point you out from on stage with a microphone. Like it's fine. Like maybe don't share everything I tell you because they already have opinions about me." But so yeah, anyway, onto the previous layout was a horror series. Was supposed to be Child's Play. I just fuck it. I'm an overachiever and I have to accept that sometimes I will not hit my goals because they're too attainable or unattainable, too attainable. And then I would go into recent horror, very spoiler free. Spoiler light. I really don't want to ruin anything for people when I talk about these movies. I actually just want to encourage people to see them. So recent horror, older horror, which we just classify as pre-COVID. Because
Which you classify as
well,
pre-COVID.
I set the standard and now we both abide by it.
That's fair.
Pre-COVID. And then non-horror, because I do just like movies in general. And then I would go into some news and then some literature, which I just like the title of because a lot of the time it includes comic books. But literature just sounds very funny to me. But instead, what I'm going to do going forward, in case anybody is worried about hearing a movie that I might accidentally spoil for them, because I am very paranoid about that myself. If I see somebody put out a paragraph of something on social media and it even mentions a movie title, I don't trust that person. I scroll. I do not trust them. You cannot trust anyone. Do not trust anyone not to spoil things, because sometimes they also don't realize that
GTA Rock, don't trust anybody.
Don't trust anybody. Here's a story about my friend Chris. I was just talking to a friend of mine today who said that every episode I have to mention that I have a friend, and this is that episode, that part right now. My friend Chris was once telling me, "Hey, can I tell you about this movie that I just saw?" And I said, "Yeah, but don't spoil it because I plan on seeing it." And he was like, "Okay, well, what I'm going to tell you isn't a spoiler at all. It's like barely. It's just very funny. I think you'd like it." I was like, "Okay." And he's like, "So, okay, they spend the entire movie tracking down this bad guy. And at the end of the movie, they finally kill the bad guy. And everything's all happy. And the entire team gets together and they're like, let's get some fucking pancakes." And I was like, "So you're telling me, Chris, that the goal of the entire movie was to track down a guy and kill him, and they succeed in that, and the entire team is still alive and everything's hunky-dory?" And it was like, "Yeah, but that's not the part I was telling you about. I was telling you about the pancakes." And that's like the epitome of just sometimes I do it too. I know sometimes you say something and you're like, "Oh shit, I didn't realize." But so we are going to start with the news. That way we get that out of the way. I'm not going to spoil any of this because none of it has happened yet. And I cannot tell the future. If I could, I would have bought Bitcoin 20 years ago.
Here's the big question then, though, Michelle. I see what you're doing. We get the news out of the way first. But
oh no,
do you have a list of all of the movies you plan to talk about so that you can warn people, hey, if you don't want to risk spoilers about this and this and this and this, stop listening now?
I could, but at this point, I like to go into things very, very blind. So
I agree.
Yeah, so my information is usually an IMDb line.
At your own risk.
It's usually like the IMDb description and like a writer or director or like a basic summary. So I go in as blind as I can. You will get more information from any article you read about anywhere else because I have minimal info and that is all I pass on at most. So I don't think anybody needs to worry about
No, Michelle, I'm not talking about the things you're going to talk about in the news. I'm talking about the movies you're then going to talk about in the movies section.
Yeah, I could. I'll give you the list up front at the end of the news. How about that?
Well, okay.
They have to sit through the news. You guys, Do you remember when you were a kid and you were like, man, fuck the news. Nothing ever happens. It's just like bake sales and shit. More on that in our WNUF episode coming out.
We're 20 minutes into this episode and we haven't even started Michelle in Review. Let's get to the news. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I've made this way longer than it should have been. Please.
Here's the thing. It's about me. This episode is about me, and I feel like they understand who I am. And a lot of people have said that this is their favorite episode, and that just tickles my fancy. So you know what? They know what they're getting into. So 20 minutes in, let's start. Okay, so news. One thing, I love horror movies, but I also love horror video games so much. I grew up with horror video games, even more so than I watched horror movies. I think I played and watched other people play horror video games even more. I love them. I love them so much. Because I could go on this whole rant, but it basically comes down to a horror movie. That thing has already happened. I am just watching the events play out. There's nothing I can do. I can only watch. A video game, you have to make an active decision to go investigate the spooky sound, and then if you die, which is a possibility, it is your fault. So it is so much scarier to me to play a video game. Like, movies sometimes rattle me, but for the most part, like video games, oh man, the first time I played Alan Wake, I chucked my controller across the room, and I did not mean to do that. And then I was like, okay, I should not play this right now. I'm a little, maybe we should turn some lights on, because man, I'm very scared of the woods. And that takes place like 90% in the woods, and all you have is a flashlight for a good part of it. So, okay. Anyway, games though. Gamescom happened in Germany from August 21st to August 25th. And of course, I had to go through the entire list of every video game that was featured there in some way or another. So my Steam wish list has grown. If you want to buy me a video game, just ask for my wish list. I'll send it. Nobody's ever done that.
Just
but like,
put it up on the website.
Cool. Hey guys, if you like my 2025 horror movie spreadsheet that you can abide by with everything, buy me a video game for $5 when it's discounted. That's the only time I buy them. Anyway, so there were some horror games coming up that I am stoked for. And video games, I still like to go in blind, but I do like to know a little bit, because like first-person shooters make me very motion sick sometimes. So I gotta know, like, is this going to be a disappointment? And I'm not even going to be able to play it. And that is the case with Control. And it's a very sad topic for me, which isn't really horror. It's just weird. But anyway, okay. So here's some video games that were discussed at Gamescom. First off, I sent a screenshot of this to, hey, another friend reference. I sent a screenshot of this to my friend Aaron. And I was like, I get excited about the dumbest shit. And it is called We Harvest Shadows. And it is a farming horror game. And that just sounds so fun. The graphics do not look like Stardew Valley, but I do get like Stardew Valley, but with body parts vibes from it. One of my favorite games I played recently was Graveyard Keeper, which is Stardew Valley, but you run a mortuary and you have to embalm the corpses and bury them and keep your graveyard looking beautiful. And I need more of that. And We Harvest Shadows might give me that. It's just called a farming horror game. What does that even mean? Who knows? We'll find out. Next, Mars Attracts, which is an amusement park management game in space. You are the aliens from Mars attracting other aliens to come to your amusement park, and you have humans on display as the attractions. Oh my God. I'm very excited for that. Next is Paper World, which was described as a cardboard shooter. And it just looks lovely. It looks so pretty. I don't know if anybody is a Binding of, well, I would say there's probably definitely fans of Binding of Isaac. I don't know if anybody who is listening is a fan of Binding of Isaac, but that's one of my comfort games. And this looks a lot like Legend of Bumbo, which is a Binding of Isaac game that people didn't play as much of as Binding of Isaac. But yeah, so cardboard shooter, it looks great. Everything's like a two-dimensional cardboard. Like, you're holding a gun And it's from the first person perspective. So in front of you, you just see this cardboard cutout of a gun shooting like cardboard bullets at other cardboard objects. It looks great. I'm so excited. There is a game coming out of, I believe it was Japan, and I've seen it referenced in two different ways. One called it The Haunted Nonia, and the other one called it Niraya of ... I don't know which of those is accurate. I do imagine that there might be a translation issue, but Steam also did not help me clarify that. But you're just a person avoiding monsters. That's terrifying. I have to avoid monsters every day. It's called my mental health and my traumatic past, and I have to avoid that enough. And now you're telling me that there are physical creatures coming after me. I can't even fight back. They're just coming and I got to deal with it? I dealt with that enough in my childhood. I don't need to do it anymore. I'm going to play the shit out of that. I'm going to be very scared. It's going to be exciting. Next, No More Room in Hell 2. Surprise, it's a sequel to No More Room in Hell. And it is just surviving the zombie apocalypse. I can never have enough of a survive the zombie apocalypse game. I've played many of them. They're very fun. Left 4 Dead is like everybody's favorite, but not my favorite. Oh my god, the Telltale games Walking Dead though. You ever play a zombie game that makes you cry? Man, do you guys remember Telltale games back in 2008? That was a good video game studio that went away before I ever got my second Wolf Among Us sequel game. So now I'm sad again. Next game, I'm just tearing through this because I know JD does not know anything about video games, so he has nothing to say, and that's great. This is gonna be my favorite part of every show. Next, Chernobyl again. It is a VR game where you are a person inside the Chernobyl nuclear reactor trying to save it. Oh my god, I'm gonna play that. It's just, that's a dark, grim reality that actually happened. Sometimes there are things things actually happen are way more horrifying than anything horror media can put out there, and Chernobyl definitely one of them. HBO series, you guys see it? Have you heard of that little known Chernobyl miniseries? JD's raising his hand. You knew something I was talking about. Good.
No, I was just gonna say I do have some, because most of what you talk about here is complete gibberish to me. JD is not a video games person, but that's cool. Here's the fun part though. You mentioned this Chernobyl game where you're like trying to stop the react. That reminded me when I was in high school, way back in the olden times. I want to say it was my 10th grade chemistry class. And we were playing, they had one of those educational video games.
I love those.
No, even older though. It was like, this was like 1995, but we were playing this thing on an Apple IIe from like 1984. So it's just a green screen with very minimal graphics and whatever. Anyway, it's one of those educational games in which you are running a nuclear reactor. You have to decide like how far, like how to adjust the control rods and how to adjust these other settings, and you gotta maintain it from melting down or overheating and all this stuff. And I decided, because this is the kind of kid I was in high school, that the best way to play that game was to just say, how fast can we melt this fucker down?
I was going to say, I hope that it's good, what happens.
And as it turns out, if you just pull at least according to this simulation, you just pull the control rods completely and floor everything to the floor. That's what flooring is, floor it to the floor. I don't know what that was supposed to mean. Anyway, it took about a day and a half.
Oh, not real time.
No. Oh, yeah, real time. Took about a day and a half. Yeah.
You just sat there pulling levers for a day and a half.
No,
just like,
no, not
is
real
he okay?
time. Not real time. No, in the simulation, it was about a day and a half.
That's longer than I thought it would be. I figure if you were really getting reckless.
Well, I figure an educational software wasn't really probably programmed with those kind of ideas in mind, although
they
frankly,
were probably like,
it should have been.
they were probably like, well, we need to give them a lot of grace because if they make a mistake, they're going to want to correct it. And so they're probably like, oh, you didn't mean to pull that lever. And then the simulation's like, that kid just keeps pulling the lever that says don't pull. I think he's trying to melt down the reactor. We gotta stop him. The game was against you. That was the real game. The game was playing you at that point, trying to see how long it could go without melting down.
You may be right. Anyway, all that to say that actually sounds interesting, and I might want to also play that game just to see how fast I could melt down the fucking reactor.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's gonna be just. I will definitely tell you when it comes.
Awesome.
On my wish list, I will get notification.
Okay, please continue.
Yeah, and then my last game that was announced at Gamescom.
Fuck, we're still talking about games?
Yeah. Yep. Michelle in review. Michelle in review. This is how we do it. Michelle in review. Bam, bam. This is how we do. Boom, boom. Okay. So Edge of Sanity is the last one, and I actually put this on my list because of JD. So I'm just going to read you the Steam description. Set in the unforgiving lands of Alaska, Edge of Sanity is a Cthulhu-inspired 2D survival horror game. Uncover a disturbing story while madness claws at your mind. Lead a group of survivors and explore, scavenge, and survive together against untold eldritch horrors. Maybe we'll
What's that called?
A single video game. Edge of Sanity.
Edge of Sanity. When, like, is that one that I would like play on my computer or something?
You would play it on your computer.
Is it gonna be free? Probably
I will
not.
tell you on September 13th, which
Okay.
is when it gets released. But you did just have a birthday. Maybe I will buy you Edge of Sanity.
Please, God.
Unless it's like $70, then that's not happening. If it's like
Edge of Sanity also a fucking fantastic Swedish heavy metal band that is mostly active from 1989 to 1999. If you're not familiar with Dan Svana and Edge of Sanity, I strongly suggest you check them out. Unorthodox, their second album, that one I really dig.
Michelle in review.
Anyway,
that is my own text tone.
Edge of Sanity is pretty rad.
Yeah. That's all I've got for video game news. Now we're gonna get into the stuff that people came for. I love video games. I love them so much. They're so fun, and they let me forget who I am for a little bit. Currently playing Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth, and I am in Hawaii, and I'm really, really debating actually going to Hawaii now. But I know there's also problems with deciding to do that. So, which are actually covered in the video game. Anyway, Yakuza, one of my favorite video game series. Oh my God, I accidentally do have a little bit of additional video game news, but it is a hybrid between video game and movie and TV show. That is... What?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Control and Alan Wake, two phenomenal games that have won many, many awards. They have film and TV shows coming. And I was talking to my coworker about this because she loves Control. She really wants me to play it. I've tried. I keep getting motion sick. There's just something about it. I need to take a lot of Dramamine and just buckle down and get through it. But I haven't been able to. But I was talking to her about it, and we are hesitant but excited because we have things like The Last of Us, which shows that they can perfectly do a video game as a TV show. Last of Us episode 1, that truck sequence where the camera is flying all over the place felt exactly like it feels when you're in the video game just looking around. It gave me like the greatest feeling. I'd never seen something like that in a TV show perfectly encapsulated. So I have hope for things like that. But then the Borderlands movie comes out and rips all of that away. So, like, please be good. Alan Wake and Control are very story-based things. So I would think that they would transfer well. But I don't know. I'm scared but hopeful. I hope they're good. Did you have a response to that, JD?
No. My only thought there is you might want to consider a spin-off podcast where you talk about video games.
Yeah, but when it's Michelle in review, it's gonna be like I'm a completionist, so I'm gonna be like I spent
No,
the entire
I don't.
month. Oh,
I don't mean to suggest you should do that so that you don't talk about the video games here. I'm just saying, holy shit, you just like went off on a tear about all sorts of video game stuff for a while. You should like have another podcast where you talk about video games as well. That's what I was trying to say.
Just me ranting, except sometimes I'll be like, you guys, I played a really great game. It's called Unpacking. And they're going to be like, what the fuck? And seriously, Unpacking is one of the greatest games that I have ever played. It's just, you get cardboard boxes. I'm sorry, I have to tell people, because if you're just like, I need a game that's going to make me feel better and that I can play in a Saturday afternoon and it will make me happy and actually smile at things that happen, Unpacking. You're just given a room with cardboard boxes, and you click the cardboard box, and then you get an item, and you put the item away in the room. And sometimes you decide you want to move that item to a different place. And so you're just literally unpacking, and you start in this little girl's room, and you're unpacking and realizing what her favorite toys are. And then you finish with that room, and you finalize it, and then you go to the next place, and you're like, oh, time has passed. Oh, she still has her favorite teddy bear with her, even though she's in college now. So you're like unpacking things in her college dorm, and you start realizing like she kept this with her, this thing she didn't take with her. Oh, this thing from her roommate, she apparently got into that hobby because now she has those in her own place. It's very cute. Very cute. It's very opposite from horror movies. It's like the exact opposite, but it makes me so happy. When I'm having a bad day, I just replay Unpacking. And you're putting shit away, and that's my kind of thing. Okay. Next. Several months ago, I had read a significant part of Crossed, which is the Garth Ennis comic book series. And I still have to start the arc that's like 103 comics, but
Okay.
I have to buy them.
Are we like in the literature portion now? Is
Nope.
is that what's
We're in the
happening
news.
here?
There's
Oh,
just
okay.
some horror news related to Crossed.
Okay.
And that is when I started reading Crossed, I thought,
I have
There's
to go
no
let
way-
the dog out. Keep talking. My
No.
headphones are on.
okay, sounds good. So when I read Crossed, which I started reading because people were like, oh, it's way more extreme than the sadness. And I fucking love the sadness. JD decided he would be okay never seeing it again. And I've watched it several times. I like it. Opposite the sadness, it makes me kind of happy. What does that mean? I don't know. Kind of scared of that. We'll unpack that next time I talk to my therapist, which will never happen because I'm on a wait list. Unpacking Michelle's issues. But I had said there's no way we are ever going to get a movie about this because this is so fucked up. And yet, we are getting a Crossed movie or TV series. I think they're in discussion of movie. There is no director yet, but Garth Ennis wrote the script for the movie. And somebody from the studios, because people are saying like there's no way that this is going to be as graphic as Crossed actually is. But somebody said it is the most faithful adaptation possible. So I don't know what that's going to look like. If you guys have seen The Sadness, it's on Shudder. It was one of the things that we reviewed years ago. I gave it a 5. JD never wants to see it again. It is about people essentially just going crazy and doing the most depraved shit and just giving into their inner id. And Crossed is that in a comic book. Oh, I was nodding so that you could talk, JD. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, I'm not looking at the camera right now.
Oh, that's fair. I was giving a respectful pause.
I would like to point out, see, what happened right there is Michelle said, I gave The Sadness 5 skulls. JD never wants to see it again. Implying that I must have hated the film. I still gave it a 4 skull rating.
Yes. I mean, it is so graphic that I gave it a perfect score and JD never wants to see it again despite giving it a good score.
Right.
I should clarify. You're right. That could be interpreted.
Man, and look, to be fair, it's been long enough. I may need to see it again. I decided I need to see When Evil Lurks again, so I'm actually watching
Great
The
movie.
Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs. Yeah, it's a great movie, but it's fucking hard.
Yeah.
It's so mean.
Yeah.
Anyway, please continue. I just wanted to clarify that I did
No, it's fair.
think it's a
Yeah.
good movie.
Yeah, you thought it was a good movie. It's graphic. It is. I've watched it.
It's fucking brutal.
Yeah, so The Sadness, if you've seen that, the crossed comics might even go further than The Sadness. In certain issues,
Garth Ennis,
definitely.
didn't you say?
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I've read Garth Ennis stuff. This goes so much further than anything else that I've read from him. So I'm excited about that. Next, Chain Reactions is a documentary coming out with an undisclosed release date, as far as I know, which is a documentary about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but specifically on how it impacted 5 different artists, including Patton Oswalt, Takashi Miike, Alexandra Heller Nicholas, Stephen King, and Karen Kusama. And so it is specifically their take.
What the fuck?
Yep. So Chain Reactions.
Well, and to be fair, this is something that I should have been way more aware of, but it just fucking hit me maybe a few days ago. October 11th is the 50th anniversary of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yep.
It's 50 years this old this year, October 11th.
Oh, no. I should have read my bullet point because I said that it doesn't have a release date, and I'm wrong. It came out in Italy on August 29th, and it did play at Fantastic Fest.
Oh, cool.
Just a couple, last week.
No,
so
fuck, man.
Hopefully we get that soon.
Michelle, you know me. I mean, if people could see, I have a fucking poster of Leatherface. It's the London released Texas Chainsaw Massacre poster. I am
you love Takashi Miike.
Miike is he's I'm not so much into his stuff anymore, but the guy is very compelling. He's a curious fucking guy.
Yeah. I even liked his Apple iPhone commercial.
Oh yeah.
He's so good.
Have you seen The Happiness of the Katakuris yet?
Yes. Yep. That was one that when I was getting into Miike, you're like, you have to see.
And now you understand the joke I used to do about the sumo wrestler and the geisha.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna die. I'm not going out like that, Michelle. Anyway, I apologize. I interrupted. Please continue.
No, it's supposed to be a discussion. I talked for 20 minutes about video games. Next, another documentary coming out, The Thing Expanded, which is a documentary going into the analysis of The Thing with John Carpenter. I'm hoping that we get something similar to The Exorcist with, oh my God, why did I forget the name of the guy who did The Exorcist?
William Friedkin.
Thank you. I was going to say Will. That's all I
Little
could think
Billy
of.
Freeds.
Yeah. So The Exorcist, William Friedkin. I'm hoping we get one of those, but John Carpenter and the
Yeah, I've frankly the fact that they got Carpenter to do anything like this is fantastic. I've been aware of it for a while. I'm very excited. Everybody knows that I'm that guy who still insists that the best thing John Carpenter ever did was Halloween, but I also make sure that The Thing is right there. You know, if it's not even a 2, it's a 1A. You know, the fact that one man made both of those films is fucking astonishing. But yeah,
they're wildly different. But The Thing is actually my favorite of John Carpenter.
Well, not just wildly different, but both incredibly good. Right?
Yes, that's why I'm saying being able to do 2 entire. I mean, they're both horror, but they're very different.
John Carpenter in the first 10 to 15 years of his career is the absolute god of genre film, and I will go to my grave saying that. He did so much good shit in that time. Anyway, please, oh God, The Thing, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, we're getting some fucking rad docs. I love
Sometimes I add things to this list just because I want to hear your reaction. I don't want to email you links. Or email. What am I?
Side note, just quick, if you don't mind, Michelle, because we are going to talk about books at some point. If you have never read Gunnar Hansen's Chainsaw Confidential, it's his just sort of written personal history and account of his experiences and such on the movie, his version of the stories, and it's fucking fantastic. Definitely check that out.
Down on my little clipboard.
Chainsaw Confidential. I listened to it on audiobook. On audiobook, I was able to listen to the whole thing in a day. It goes really quickly, and it's real good.
He
was the original Leatherface. Yeah, and he reads it himself.
I mean, he reads himself.
Yeah, that was super cool for sure.
Yeah, sometimes I very rarely recommend the audiobook over physical book, just my preference, but
Oh, sure.
I also listen to audiobooks, but I feel like when it's those firsthand accounts, it's got to be read by the
Yeah,
person who
yeah,
wrote it,
for
unless
sure.
it's like post-mortem, but
Yeah.
so that especially interests me, and I'm definitely going to do the audiobook over physical book then.
Cool,
So,
cool.
good. Also John Carpenter, so many good movies. Don't even get me started on the chairs he created.
On the what?
The chairs. He was a carpenter before he was a movie creator. Moving on. My next movie.
God
to
damn
talk
it,
about-
Michelle.
I know. So I'm a huge fan of this next director, and I still cannot say their name. I can spell it for you. No matter how many times I listen to it, when I say it, it sounds different. There's nothing I can do. I'm trying so hard. Maybe every time I will just spell it out. I can pronounce their first name. Maybe I'll become friends with them so that we are on a first name basis. But we are getting a movie called The Shadow Strays, coming from this person's bordering on like one of my favorite modern writers / directors. Like they are making it up that list for me. But Timo Gianto from Indonesia. He had done 2 segments in 2 different VHS movies, 2 different VHS segments. And both of them were my favorite from both the VHSs he did. He's put out some other full-length movies that I just blanked on. One of them was why can I picture it, but I can't think of the name, Satan's Slaves. And he put out that one and the sequel, both of which are phenomenal. He's just making his way up my list. And The Shadow Strays comes out on Netflix on October 17th. So perfect time for spooky season. I'm going to read you the IMDb description because I don't know anything outside of I saw this name. I made a note of the IMDb description. I put it on my spreadsheet. I don't want to know anything else. I'm so close to like being able to see it. So God, don't let me down, Timo. Listen, Timo, we're friends now. Here's the IMDb description. Codename 13, a 17-year-old assassin, is suspended due to a sloppy mission in Japan. She meets 11-year-old Monji, who loses his mother and sets out to rescue him.
Wait, say that again?
Codename 13, a 17-year-old assassin, is suspended due to a sloppy mission in Japan. She meets 11-year-old Monji, who loses his mother and sets out to rescue him.
Okay.
So Codename 13 is going to go save this 11-year-old.
Side note, by the way, Satan's Slaves was Joko Anwar. Timo Gianto was May the Devil Take You.
Thank you.
No problem.
See, we had just talked about Indonesian horror when we were talking about the Dancing Village.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've got all these Indonesian names in my head.
Guys,
like I just got Indonesia. So
if you haven't spent much time with recent Indonesian horror, do yourself a favor and check out Timo Gianto, Joko Anwar, and anything Indonesian that you've seen anywhere on major streaming service. Shudder's got a ton of them. They're doing some real fucking good and interesting and unique stuff.
Yep. And Joko Anwar's Nightmares and Daydreams, I think it's called, on Netflix, which is the kind of anthology. It does loop it all together in a way, but you can watch each episode individually if you want to. That is really, really good.
Yeah, and what I like about a lot of it is so much of at least what I've seen is very much rooted in like Indonesian folklore, and what that of course allows is, again, something that we talk about a lot is new stories. Right, we're allowing, or we're seeing and being open to more new voices and having access to more new voices. Just because, I mean, even 20 years ago, the idea that Indonesian horror films would be easily accessible was kind of crazy. And so you're just getting so much interesting, unique stuff that I've never seen before, and I fucking love it.
I am so excited. excited
Mhm.
for just more Indonesia. I might just move to Indonesia. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna move to Indonesia.
Sweet.
Goodbye. Going to Indonesia
Cool.
now. I know nothing about it except that
It's-
I like some of the horror creators. So I'll just go move in with Timo so we can be on that first name basis, and I never have to learn how to pronounce his last name. It's TJAHGJANTO. I can spell it. I cannot say it.
Side note, by the way,
drives me nuts.
if you really want to go deep, however, into Indonesian horror, I don't know if Michelle has gotten around to this, but there is a movie that I just discovered haphazardly because a friend of mine was in a band that used audio samples from the movie on one of their records. But it's an Indonesian horror movie from 1981 called Mystics in Bali, and it will fuck your whole day up.
I think that's on my list because of you.
Yeah, it's so unique and weird, and you have to go in with understanding this is a movie from Indonesia in 1981, so it's low budget and independent on a number of levels. But goddamn, what a movie that is.
It is officially on my list if it was not before.
I'm pretty sure you can get the whole thing on YouTube, but
I'll
I
find
didn't.
the whole thing either way.
I know you will.
1981, that's available everywhere.
Right?
I'll find it. Okay, next, Wildwood. We are getting to the end of the news, so don't worry. I will speed it up when we get to the
We're
boring
almost
movie
an hour
discussion.
into this episode, and we
This-
haven't even
I-
talked about movies
This is why I
we've
decided
watched.
to. This is why I decided to flop it because I
love
have
it.
so much news and I always feel like rushing through it at the end. But I'm like, I really just want to talk about the news and horror news and stuff that, like, who fucking cares what I watched? Who cares? Nobody cares. Why are you listening to this? But they do care about stuff that is coming out that they might not have heard about because they're not subscribed to every fucking horror article, and they don't set aside an entire Saturday twice a month so that they can get through every single article from all of those sites, and that they can make sure that every movie referenced is cataloged appropriately to make sure that they don't miss anything that might fall under their radar. I do that for you people. You're welcome. I do it for myself. I've been doing it for years, let's be honest. So the next movie, Wildwood, it is stop motion, written by Chris Butler, who is the guy who wrote Coraline, directed by Travis Knight, who did Kubo and the Two Strings. The voice cast. I don't know the lead. She is not well known, and that's good. That's a good thing. I think I like when a voice actor isn't like a voice that I can recognize. Her name is Peyton Elizabeth Lee. But the other supporting voices are Mahershala Ali, who I fucking love, Carey Mulligan, Charlie Day, Amandla Stengberg, and Jermaine Clement and Aquafina. And there's other names and stuff, but like that just somebody who put together Coraline, another person who put together Kubo. I don't remember which way it's pronounced.
Kubo.
Two strings. It is Kubo. Okay. Kubo. I just keep going Cubone because of Pokemon. But Kubo, and then this like great voice cast and stop motion. It's gonna be dark as hell, and I'm excited for that.
Wait, what's it called?
Wildwood. All
Okay.
one word.
For some reason, I misunderstood what you said, and I thought you were saying that this movie was also called stop motion, and I was like, man, that's
no.
fucking lame.
No, I don't know anything about it. I did see a couple, not clips, but like still images. They look beautiful, and it's something about a little girl who goes into the forest to find her brother. And I don't know anything else,
Ooh.
but I've seen
Alright.
some images, and oh man, that's exciting. I'm really looking forward to that.
If we know anything at all about the woods, Michelle, it's that they're creepy as fuck.
Yeah, I don't go in them anymore. I grew up in rural Minnesota.
Don't go in the woods.
so
Don't go in the water.
fuck. the
Best probably to
Fuck
just
water.
not leave your house. That's what I've
try.
learned from horror movies.
Sometimes I have to though, and it's really difficult.
I know.
That's why I bought Mace.
We are getting to that place in our society, though, where it may eventually, not too far from now, really be entirely possible to live your whole life without ever interacting with another human being, and like directly, you know what I mean, like in person. And I feel like that would be pretty cool.
That is the premise of one of my favorite video games that I will defend until the day I die, aka Death Stranding, where you are just essentially a mailman where people stay locked in their shelters and only communicate with you via holograms. And I fucking love that game. Walking simulator, yes, please. So fun. I don't go for walks. I don't go outside. So being able to just like walk and then sometimes kill big spooky ghosts, sure. I'll fight an oil whale. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. That oil whale's great.
Ellie Belly doesn't go for walks?
John takes her for walks sometimes, but she is such a drama queen.
Oh, of course.
She doesn't really like walks. Our little dog just likes to hang out in the backyard and just watch things and like patrol. She does like a little walk around the perimeter and occasionally like barks at a squirrel or something. If we take her on walks, we'll get like not even half a block and she'll just like sit down and look at us and wait for us to pick her up and carry her back home. She's not a walker, which is good because we live in a place where it's winter for like 13 months out of every year.
Yeah,
she just likes to hang out in the backyard though.
Cool. Good job, Ellie Belly.
Yeah, and sometimes I put Beans, my cat, on a leash with her, and they hang out in the backyard together, and they have a great time.
You put your cat on a leash?
Yeah, Beans.
Don't you have a fence?
We do have a fence, but Beans is a fucking idiot.
Okay, fair.
He is the kind. We call him Beans because that's all that's going on in his brain. He's a very sweet boy. He does not have a lot of intelligence.
When just he was full of beans.
Yeah, when he was an itty bitty baby, I was like, this is our bravest and our dumbest cat because he would climb stuff. And I was like, you're going to fall and die. Like, he just ran up to the dog immediately. No, like, pause or hesitation. I'm like, you are too small. She could step on you. He's not very smart. So, like, if I let him out, he'd be like, oh, man, what's that sound? And off he goes to venture because he wants to go make friends with the gigantic hawk that lives in our neighborhood. And now I have one less cat. So... The leash is partially so that if the hawk decides to try to take Beans, the hawk just is on the end of a line and I can yoink him back.
Wait, you really think that leash is going to be stronger than the hawk?
I want to have at least a fighting chance. Okay. So that I can say I did what I could. The dog can get taken, but Beans no.
Wow.
I'm kidding.
Wow.
That's because that hawk would give me my dog back. He would be like, I made a mistake, please take her. She is barking at everything. Okay, onward with the news, 57 minutes in. Next, Redux. There's just a lot of festivals that went on this past month, so that's part of the issue. Multiverse horror where a woman kills her daughter's murderer over and over and over again. It's called Redux. There's a movie that has been on my radar, and I actually was going to watch it before we did Michelle in Review, but I just ran out of time. Time's an illusion, but I ran out of it anyway. But I have been hearing a lot about this movie that's on Netflix from, I think it was 2013, called The Block Island Sound. And I'm in a lot of horror groups, and I just write down titles that people start discussions about and that they rave over, and this was one of them. And Redux is done by the two guys who did The Block Island Sound, Kevin McManus and Matthew McManus. Related, friends, brothers, lovers, who knows? But I think brothers.
I imagine they know.
Well, maybe they don't, though. Maybe they're just like, we woke up at the age of 30. We have the same last name, but we don't remember anything. We're going to make a movie about it. I'd watch that. I'd watch the McManuses get their memories back.
Okay. Let's do it.
Okay. Yeah. McManuses, get in touch with me. I got a movie idea for you. It's a documentary. We're going to make you lose your memories. And then my last news thing, Black Cab, like a taxi cab, stars Nick Frost. And I think he's a taxi cab driver, based on the very ominous movie poster and the description of this one. But I think Nick Frost is like an evil taxi cab driver. But all I saw was Nick Frost and the movie poster. I went, yep, I'm sold.
Can I tell you my immediate reaction to that, Michelle?
No. Yes, you can.
My immediate reaction to that is, man, people who don't pay attention are really going to get the wrong idea from that title.
I'm trying to think. It's very difficult. Beans and I share the single bean brain.
What?
Beans and I have the same bean brain, and we pass it back and forth, and he's got the bean currently. So I know the black part.
Right.
Oh, okay. I was trying to think if cab sounded like something else.
No,
that's where
I'm
my
just
brain.
saying
Okay.
Black Cab sounds like the name of an African American comedy film, is what I'm saying.
Yes. Nope. I got you now. I was trying to think. I'm like, does cab sound like something offensive?
No, Michelle.
Okay.
No. Oh man, somehow my input recording volume got turned way down. Thank God for compression. It'll come back. It'll be fine.
Will it? Will any of this come back? Okay. On to recent horror, finally.
Holy shit, 40 goddamn minutes of the news.
No,
I love it.
Sometimes there are a lot of film festivals. I had so much.
I'm not complaining, Michelle. I'm championing. I'm celebrating.
It kind of sucks that there were so many festivals during a month when you and I saw a lot of good new horror, though.
Yeah.
Some real bad new horror.
Here's what well, I mean, to be fair, yes. Here's what I love is, like, obviously not trying to force anything, but I feel like right now we have the potential for this to be our second longest episode ever. It's not going to be no 3-hour Saw franchise epic, but it's coming along pretty well. Anyway, Michelle,
I could bust out my thoughts on Saw.
New horror.
Yeah. Okay. Where do I start? I do have this kind of like sandwich of good horror and bad horror.
If you don't mind, I think probably the place we should start is with the two that you and I have both seen, which would be Immaculate and Strange Darling.
Oh, right. You have not seen Cuckoo yet.
I haven't seen what?
Cuckoo. Okay.
No, I haven't had a chance to see Cuckoo yet.
Okay. So yeah, do you want to give your thoughts on Immaculate? It did hit Hulu this past month, and people were kind of freaking out about it, so I finally got to see it. I think that's how you got to see it.
Yes, I saw it on Hulu the day it dropped, actually. I've been hearing a lot about it. Very excited to see it, and I really dug it. I really like movies where you have what seems to be just a nice little sort of convent or monastery of good, God-fearing Christian folk who turn out to be fucking cult-mongering psychopaths. That's just a thing that really appeals to me, and I think they did this really well. There's been a lot of talk about the ending of the movie, which I get why a lot of people are really taken aback by it. I feel like for some of us who have seen a lot of real intense stuff, it wasn't quite as severe as some other things. But no, overall, I really enjoyed this. It was a lot better than I was expecting, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah, I like the ending. Won't get into the full details of that, but I do like the ending. But I have heard that is the part that people are like, I don't know if I like the way that I really like it. We can talk about
and I should clarify, I like the ending too. I totally get what they're doing there, and I think it's appropriate for the movie. I just didn't find it as extreme because a lot of people were talking about it as just this shocking ending. And I've just, frankly, seen much worse, and I know you have too.
Gotcha. Yeah, I hadn't heard anybody talking about, like, the shocking ending, and then I went to look up people's thoughts on it afterwards. So that's when I got, like, people saying,
sure,
I didn't care for it, I did. So I think I would have, if I heard that and had hyped expectations, I also would have been let down because I'd be like, have you guys seen the sadness? Clearly not. So yeah, it's definitely not that.
Right.
But yeah, it's really good. I always go in very low expectation for any horror movie that is like widely released in theaters, because I feel like for a very long time we had to deal with horror that had to appeal to the masses, and now we are getting a little bit weirder or a little bit more horrific, and people are like, oh, they actually do want to be scared and like horrified, and we've gotten those in the past. It's not like, I mean, there's so much stuff that's come out that did do that, but we have so much horror coming out now that I'm like, oh, I don't know, but when it actually meets my expectations, I'm just very happy. Sydney Sweeney is great. I just really like her in everything that she does, and she is phenomenal in this as well. So, Immaculate is not going to go on my like top movies of the year list. A lot of people said this was one of their favorites so far. But it's good. It's way better than I thought it would be.
Yeah, in fact, when I first saw it, I believe I posted in a thing where I said this actually might make my top 10 come the end of the year. If it does, I'm expecting it to be like a number 9 or number 10. But no, I really, really enjoyed this. I had to keep reminding myself, and this is just my internal prejudice, and it's entirely related to Sydney Sweeney being the star. She's like a big popular name right now, right? And I had to keep reminding myself, no, this is a Neon release, right? This is part of a trifecta that they were promoting this year, and the other 2 movies are Longlegs and Cuckoo, right? So I had to just continue reminding myself that it's probably not what you're afraid it is, which is I thought it was going to be, you know, like The Nun or something to that effect, like The Pope's Exorcist or that sort of thing. And it's completely different from that, and I really, here's something interesting that I found out about it. Apparently, this is a script that was originally given to Sydney Sweeney when she was like 15 or 16, and she just like it never came to fruition, the project at that time. And then once she had developed some success for herself, she went back and as a producer got this script, and they retooled it a little bit so it wasn't about children, which when you see it, you'll understand why that was probably a good idea. But I just thought that was a really cool story about how she remembered this thing from several years back, and she was like, no, I want to make that movie. I want to be in that, and sort of used her success and fame to push forward this super indie but also awesome project.
I had not heard any of that, so that's really cool.
Yeah, it's
more
rad.
Respect for Sydney Sweeney. The other one that we said we've both seen is Strange Darling, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. This is high on my list of best of 2024. It's a weird movie. I love a weird movie. The lead lady, Willa Fitzgerald, is just, I love Kyle Gallner. See, I cannot pronounce any names. Doesn't matter. Kyle, my good friend Kyle. He's great, but like Willa Fitzgerald is just, I don't want to say she carries this movie because this movie is so great. It like even without her, but like she just makes it. Like her acting in all these different emotions she has to portray. Like I love Strange Darling. I have recommended it to so many people, and I refuse to tell you a single thing about it. This is one that I say you could go watch the trailer and get a feel for it, because the trailer is not going to give you any information that will be helpful. They did the marketing right for this one. I knew it was going to be strange. It definitely was, and the trailer perfectly puts you in the mindset of what you need to be in for this movie. I loved it. I will talk in depth with people about this, but I don't want to tell you anything about it. Just Strange Darling. Check out the trailer if you want to. And then if you're like, oh, the trailer kind of interests me, go see the movie. I loved Strange Darling.
Yeah, for sure. Know as little about it as possible. When we first finished watching this film, I wasn't as positive on it as Michelle was. I have spent a decent amount of time stopping and thinking about it, and the first thing I will say to you is, if I was doing an end-of-the-year horror awards, look, the awards for Best Actor and Best Actress are locked in, and nobody's taking them away in the next several months. Kyle Gallner and Willa Fitzgerald, both individually and in chemistry together, give just fucking incredible performances in this movie. Just really, really well done. Now, there's a specific detail in the writing that Michelle and I have talked about, and I have confirmed that I am correct about the reality of what's going on there.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And it's, to me, it's a detail that is so obvious that it shouldn't have been missed, and that makes me think it wasn't missed. It was on purpose, and that makes me think I don't understand why. That being said, it's such a minor thing that once I was able to get past that and really start thinking about it, yeah, this is a really fucking great movie. It's a really good story. Beyond that, it's really incredible acting from Gallner and Fitzgerald. It's a beautifully photographed movie, even with the pretentious thing about, it was all in 35 millimeter right at the very beginning of the film. Yeah, we get it. Okay, cool. But it is beautiful. Holy shit. It's been a while since I've seen a movie in 35, and it was nostalgic and awesome. I do appreciate that. But I would have known right. I would have known. Yeah, I would have known right away. You didn't have to tell me with a title at the beginning of the movie.
I wouldn't have known. Thank you for pointing it out for dummies like me.
That's fair, I guess. But no, and I'm sure you're glad to hear that, Michelle. The more I've sat and thought about this, I want to see it again, for sure. Especially now knowing what I know about it and having seen it once. I want to go back and look at the nuances. But goddamn, what a great movie.
I actually talked to Jenna just very briefly about this because we have figured something out about you. And after seeing multiple movies with you, here's what we know. You don't like a movie to be so obvious that you can guess what's going to happen. Like Saw, even though the rest of us didn't see it coming. You saw it coming and you were very upset about it. But you don't want a movie to surprise you so much that you feel deceived. You've got to hit that sweet spot.
Yes.
And Strange Darling, for a while, you felt deceived and you were angry about it.
I did.
And then I think Longlegs was the other one where you're like, the trailers deceived me. The marketing deceived me. You don't want to be deceived.
No,
you don't want
to be tricked. You're absolutely right. Yeah, I don't want to be tricked, but I don't want to know either. Like, here's what I want. I want magic. Right? I don't want it to feel like smoke and mirrors, like the kind of thing that I never... Look, the perfect example, and look, if you think this is a spoiler at this point, I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you, but a perfect example is The Sixth Sense. And I don't even have to tell you what the twist is, but what I'm saying is that's a movie where once they reveal what's going on, it's so well done that you're like, Christ, I should have seen that the whole time. Now, Shyamalan has done other things where he doesn't earn his surprises at all. But that's what I want, right? I don't want to... I want to be surprised, but I don't want to feel deceived. That's perfect analysis. You guys nailed it.
Yeah. I think, because Jenna drove me home after we saw it. I was like, when did we have time to talk about that? And it was after we watched that, she drove me home. And I think she mentioned it like, I realized something. And we started talking about it. We're like, yeah, no, that totally makes sense because we've seen a lot of movies with you recently. And yeah, you don't want it to be obvious, but you don't want to feel like a movie lied to you and surprised you that way.
Correct.
And you have to decide like afterwards, like, was I tricked? Was this like mean to me? And then if you sit with it, sometimes you come back around and go, okay, well, I think they messed it up, but I don't feel as tricked anymore.
I don't feel like surprises are as effective if there's some, like, I just feel it's way more effective if it's something I should have seen and I just didn't. And I don't know why. Yep. That's an interesting reflection too, is because ultimately what that amounts to is I really like it when I feel like a fucking idiot. And that's real strange, but we'll unpack that some other time.
That's how I live my life. I like being an idiot. It's really nice.
I like a movie that just makes me go, oh, God damn it. Yeah. Like in a good way. Yeah.
Well, since we're talking about movies that made us angry in the theater at the time, even if you've come around to Strange Darling, I got some words. We try to be nice on this podcast because sometimes it's crazy, but people who are filmmakers sometimes listen to the show and we connect with them. And I never want to be a dick to somebody who's listening, even if I didn't like your movie. Puppet Man, I still feel very guilty about because I ranted and never thought that the guy whose name I've forgotten would respond to my tweet. And I still feel guilty because I was just ranting for the sake of being funny. He was very gracious, and I don't think he was actually upset about it. But god damn it, why that one of all of them? But here's the thing. I try to be like, I think I'm a kind person too. And now that like I don't want these people to think I'm unkind. That said, fuck M. Night Shyamalan. I'm so tired. I have been a fan for pretty much my whole life, and I'm done. I'm done. After Old pissed me off because Old is the first movie he has ever done where the twist ending is the only good part. How the fuck did you do that? I have thoughts about Old. I won't get into them because, you know, it's M. Night. There's always a twist. I don't want to tell you, but the ending is so good. Everything up until that is a waste of time. Not to say anything about the actors in the movie. They're fine. M. Night in particular can go fuck himself. Knock at the Cabin was fine. But then I read the book and now I feel conflicted because at the time I was like, I really like that. And now I'm like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that. So, you know, that's fine. But Trap, people love Trap. I loved Trap for a half an hour. Josh Hartnett is so good. Like he's great. And the camera work is really good. And there's so much that like when it's basically a one-man movie. Oh, hi JD. What's up?
I just wanted to say real quickly before I forget, just a brief aside. Whoever would have seen that coming, that Josh Hartnett would turn into this guy who's like doing very interesting character work and like just, you know, being honest about my prejudices. He was so much that just goofy, like slacker type pretty boy in so many
also
things.
The Faculty.
Yeah, exactly. You know, but he was that guy, right? In The Faculty and the 40 Days and 40 Nights. Yep. He was in Halloween H2O. But man, very cool to see where that guy has come. I never would have picked that, but I'm glad to say that that it had happened.
Yeah. So yeah, Josh Hartnett. Well, he's doing his thing. Really, really good. Love everything with him. I have nothing bad to say about Josh Hartnett. I will even say Lucky Number 11. Oh my God. Lucky Number 11 is my favorite action movie of all time, starring Josh Hartnett. So I love him. That is my favorite action movie, hands down. It has been since I was in high school and nothing has topped it. Love him.
Dope.
Then M. Night just does his own thing. And it gets so ridiculous. And I, like, at one point something happens that's just like, these people are the dumbest people. All of these people are dumb except Josh Hartnett. And now, because they're so dumb, he doesn't seem as smart. And I think that's where my anger comes, is that you made Josh Hartnett not seem as smart and as glorious as he actually is, and how you portrayed him for a half hour. The movie just like goes, I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm still mad about it. I feel like so much of it just went very, very wrong. And I don't think I can defend M. Night anymore. And what's worse is that this is a movie that a lot of people like. They like Trap. And I think the first half hour is really good. The next half hour is, okay, it's fine. But God, the last half hour should just not exist. Just like give me an hour-long movie and I'll deal with it and be like, wow, that ending was really good. But like, they just, you think it's done and then it keeps going and it's like, why is this happening now? Okay, so nobody can think, okay, cool. Like what? Okay. Yeah, no. Like at one point I didn't mean to because I was in the theater, but something happened. I went, for fuck's sake. Like I didn't mean to. And I did say it quietly. Only Jenna heard and she did laugh. And I didn't mean to, but I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. Because like I was like, none of these people have any survival skills. I say that as somebody who traveled to Denver back in February, and when somebody knocked on my door at 11 p.m. in the hotel, I opened the door without looking through the peephole. I have no survival skills. I am going to get murdered if I can recognize that these people are more murderable than I am, I'm furious. And
Michelle, you guys, has been waiting so long to go on this
so
rant.
Mad.
She doesn't often do this nearly as much as I do. But she needed to take some time after seeing this movie and just vent at me over text messaging for a while. And I was like, oh man, she is going to have some shit to say. I agree with you. Fuck that guy. He's never going to listen to our podcast anyway.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, it's M. Night. He doesn't care. He'll wipe his tears with $100 bills, but they'll be tears of laughter because I'm a poor person.
Yeah, he'll wipe his ass and then we'll light it on fire and it won't matter and whatever.
Ass is gonna get lit on fire?
With the $100 bills is what I'm saying. He'll both. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, no, like Trap. I told JD, or maybe I didn't tell you in my rant, maybe I just thought it, but I was like, I'm very glad we're not doing Michelle in review tomorrow because the entire episode would have been Trap. But I had several weeks. This is several weeks later. I've had time, and I never feel like this about movies. I go like, oh, that was kind of disappointing. I watched one earlier that like I was very, very hyped for, and I went, oh, okay. But God, Trap. I think because I loved the first half hour so much, and then I hated the second half, that then it made me angrier. Like if it had been like a meh movie throughout the whole thing, but instead it made me feel very strong emotions in both ways.
You felt deceived.
Exactly. I felt deceived, which is funny because it's M. Night Shyamalan. He's going to deceive you. And that used to be what I liked about him. But the twist ending of his movies was never that it turns into a bad movie.
Oh, never? Never, Michelle?
Well,
Have you seen The Happening?
I love The Happening, okay?
Oh, my God.
I love The Happening.
We should move on to another...
I've been a big M. Night fan. I watched Sixth Sense and talked about it on Michelle in Review last month. Like, I love The Village. I love, like, most things he's done until recently. That said, his daughter, who it does seem like this entire movie was put out to promote her music. I like her music. So, you know what? The fact that this happened at her concert, like, yeah, you could pick the worst artist.
Is that the same daughter who also made that The Watchers movie earlier this year?
Different daughter.
Okay.
Different daughter.
Fair.
So we can be mad at both of his daughters for
doing Can we move on to another movie that I know you've seen that I have not seen that I really do want to see because I've seen the other two Neon movies and I might as well see the third, and that's Cuckoo.
I knew which one you were going to talk about. Yep, Cuckoo.
Cuckoo.
Yeah. It's a movie. I saw it.
That's all you're going to say about it?
No. Here's what I will say. Again, Jenna and I went to a lot of movies in August. For somebody who doesn't leave my house very often, they're putting out a lot of stuff. I'm probably going to leave my house at least once a week going forward to see more movies. I miss the theater. COVID kind of killed it for me. But I think it's back. I miss it.
To be fair, yeah, there's a real solid string of indie, interesting horror movies that have been finally coming back to theaters as well, and that definitely helps.
Feels so nice. So yeah, Cuckoo. Here's okay. This is also one that you could watch the trailer and get an idea of the feel, and it is going to be weird and fun and not give you too much information. There's a particular thing that I love that I cannot talk about without spoiling, so I'm not going to, but I will say like the reveal of what the titles were, like why it's called that, just delighted me. It is weird in a way that I love, but that I know will be very, very divisive for a lot of people. I think once they start putting things together, there are going to be a lot of people who are like, I don't know, but loved it. I love Hunter Schafer, another Euphoria person. Hunter Schafer is from Euphoria as well as Sydney Sweeney, who's in Immaculate. Euphoria is a great show. I don't care. It's like a R-rated Gossip Girl.
So here's what I want to know about Cuckoo, Michelle. Yeah. Based then on what you know about me and your theory as developed with Jenna, you think I'm going to hate it?
Yes. I don't think you're going to feel deceived. I think I don't think it's going to explain things in a way that you like.
Okay.
You like there to be an explanation and an answer and a reason. And even if it's not spelled out in the movie, you can think about it later and put together those points.
Right.
I think there's going to be too many gaps.
Okay.
And
That's
you're
fair.
going to want more plot.
That's fair.
Whereas I was just along for the ride and I went, I don't know why like 90% of this shit is happening, but I'm fine with that.
Let's test some of your spreadsheet knowledge, Michelle. Can you tell me when I can expect that movie to be available on streaming?
Oh, I just saw this. I'm gonna go see if I have it. Late October. Oh, it's coming out on Hulu. That much I know for sure.
Well,
But,
yeah, that's where Immaculate was, and they carry a lot of Neon titles. I imagine that's where Longlegs will end up as well.
Yeah, I've got Hulu, and then my guesses say between October and February.
Cool. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to seeing that one. I did see the trailer, and I was compelled by its weirdness. So, yeah, we'll check it out first chance we get.
Sweet. Yeah, because you're gonna have things to say either way, and this is one where I'm not positive how you will feel about it. But I think it's not gonna have enough answers to what you want, and you're gonna like what they're doing so much that you're gonna want more information too. It's not even gonna be like I don't like what they're doing and I don't like that it's unexplained. It's gonna be like I like what they're doing, but I don't understand why, and I want to know more.
I gotcha.
So, and then my next thing, I know that you have not seen this, but True Detective season 4, is so good. True Detective is an anthology series where you can just watch each season individually. You do not have to watch them in any particular order. Season 4 takes place in rural Alaska during that time where they don't have any sunlight for 40 days and 40 nights. Is that 30 days of night? Which Josh Hartnett movie am I thinking of? But for a month, there's no sunlight. So the entire thing takes place essentially what feels like at night. And it's in the middle of winter. And they're trying to solve like this bizarre murder case, which is what they do each season of True Detective. That is not giving anything away. That's just the basis of the show. It's trying to solve some sort of true crime mystery. I grew up in rural Minnesota, so I just have like, it made me feel so nostalgic in like a weird way. Like this true crime, dark, gritty show reminds me of my childhood in kind of a weird way. Like I just like the people felt like people who I knew growing up. The way that they interact, where it's like it doesn't matter that this person's a cop, you can still punch them the fuck out because you went to high school with them and they can fuck off. Like that's small town mentality, and it just plus the mystery they're trying to solve or the crime they're trying to solve is bizarre, and I just really, really loved it. The first season of True Detective, I really enjoyed. 2 and 3 were fine, but like 4, oh my God. People have been raving about this, and I finally got to watch it and see why. I do wish I had watched it back when it was closer to Christmas instead of August, because it definitely felt more like a winter thing, but maybe I'll rewatch it around Christmas because Jesus, it's really, really good. If you haven't seen any True Detective and you've been interested, just start with season 4.
Yeah, the only True Detective I've seen was the first season, but I really, really liked it. I just never found time to move on to any of the other stuff.
Yeah, just go straight to 4.
Okay.
It is so good.
I will do that.
Sweet. So yeah, True Detective. And then my last one, you have not seen this because I just watched it today or last night. I did watch it 1.5 times. I don't remember which time I watched the full thing. I think last night. Anyway, this is one of the movies I have been beyond excited for, and I finally got to watch it. And I watched it just in time for Michelle in Review, so thank God I don't have to say on my thoughts for a month. Milk and Cereal. Curry Barker is a, I guess, YouTuber who put out a short that I really enjoyed called The Chair. And it was so good that back when we were doing our monthly recaps and we were doing like a best of 2023 so far, we brought a lot of movies and stuff, but I brought The Chair, which is a half-hour short horror movie on YouTube, and I loved it so much that I went, no, Curry Barker deserves to be on this list. one of his movies is only an hour. Thank you so much, Curry. You are making up for everybody who gives me 3-hour fucking movies. And it's incredible and available for free on YouTube. It's called Milk and Cereal. Cereal spelled Serial. I cannot believe that we get this level of quality from YouTube. Like, thank you. You're like the new Mother Teresa, but not problematic. Like, I can't believe that this is just available on YouTube. He has another movie coming out soon. Well, soon I say, but I don't actually know the date, called Obsession, which, like, Curry Barker, I love Curry stuff, and I'm going to have to see more of it. I also watched Warnings after watching The Chair, and that was delightful as well. I think I really enjoy his stuff, and if you liked The Chair, go watch everything else he has done. The Chair, Warnings, Milk and Cereal are like three just like I cannot believe we get this level of quality. I mean, I can because, you know, we get a lot of like stuff coming from YouTube now and becoming more mainstream, like the back rooms. But still, like, I was blown away. Milk and Cereal, all I'm going to tell you is what I knew going in, which did not tell me shit. And that is that it's found footage. You know how I feel about found footage people. I'm predictable. Although I did watch a found footage movie earlier that I did not like, and it was one of my other highly anticipated movies, and we're not going to talk about it because I feel bad about how much I did not like it.
Aww.
I know. It was like I had a little list, and I decided not to do it because
no, that's the right way to go. If you got nothing good to say, maybe don't say nothing at all. He said
and
when we
it's not M. Night Shyamalan.
Right.
Yeah, like it's clearly like this is a low budget thing that I was really looking forward to because of what people said at festivals. But oh man, I did not enjoy it. So we're just not going to talk about it. What we will talk about is Curry Barker. Milk and Cereal is a found footage where two guys have a Prank Bros YouTube channel, and sometimes they take pranks too far. So that's all you get to know.
I already
and whatever
found
you
it.
think that means, whatever you think that means, you're wrong. Just go in blank and enjoy.
I don't know if it'll be the same for everybody else, but when I went to YouTube, I just typed in the word milk, and Milk and Cereal movie, or maybe it was Milk and Cereal film, was the second suggested result. So clearly people are talking about it and watching it. I remember we actually did an episode about The Chair in Spooktober last year when we did all the shorts.
Yeah.
Because when I had first seen it, I didn't really care for it as much as Michelle did, but then I saw it a second time and I realized it's really, really good. And so, yeah. I'm looking forward to Milk and Cereal now. It's on my list.
I am definitely going to need to hear your opinion after you watch it because
sounds good.
Man, so good.
Sweet.
That's what I've got for recent horror.
I may just throw that on tonight when we're done here. It's only an hour long.
It's only an hour.
Right?
Yeah. And I need your thoughts after you watch it because it's so fucking good.
I want your thoughts.
Give me your
I need your thoughts. For Halloween this year, so like 9 years ago, for Halloween, me and my friend Will and some other folks did an all covers Misfits set for the Aquarium Halloween show, and we're doing it again this year. Me and my buddy Will and a couple other dudes who weren't there the first time, and that's one of the songs I'm doing is "I Want Your Skulls." And so that's where that came from. But, yeah, that's going to be a good time. It's actually on Halloween, so it's in the middle of the week, so I don't have to ask for time off from work. Just going to shout some Glenn Danzig tunes. It's going to be a good time.
That is your news. You should put that in the news section.
I didn't even think about it until just now, because I randomly went, I want your thoughts. Anyway, continue.
Okay. I don't
horror.
have much for these next two categories. So I'm spent on news basically and then watching some really good new stuff. But older horror, I only have one thing. It's found footage. Surprise. I'm so mad at how predictable I am. I was on a found footage kick this month because I mean this is from 2013. You can tell I was just in the mood for this and seeking it out. Devil's Pass, or the Dyatlov Pass, which is a real thing that happened where a bunch of people froze to death and it was very mysterious, and they never knew why. And all the theories are very fun. That's one of my favorite unsolved mysteries of like, what happened? Why did they take their clothes off and run out of the tent? Were they chased? So Devil's Pass is a bunch of filmmakers who go to the past to try to, figure out what they can see. And despite it being found footage, because it is a bunch of people making this documentary, it still feels very cinematic to the extent that I forget. Like, they have, like, drones flying as they're, like, walking up the hill and stuff because they're filming themselves walking up the hill. So you're still getting those cinematic shots. And yet, at the times where it will benefit from being, like, a handheld camera, they do that. And I can't believe I hadn't seen this before. It's much, much better than I thought it was going to be. And by that, I mean, like, it's very good. It's just, like, I had this on my list for forever, and I went, I found footage, but let's put it on. And I thought it was going a place, and then it completely zigged where I thought it was going to zag. And I think there's a movie I would compare it to if I wanted to give anything away, but I will just say, like, it's a level of weird that I did not expect it to go. And there's another movie that I will have to defend until I die, and it kind of goes in the same direction.
Oh, I'll have to ask you about that after we're done recording.
It's a movie you did not like.
Oh, well.
It is a movie most people did not like. So
That's
if anybody's
fair.
Curious, message me. I just don't want to say it right now in case people are like, oh, well, shit, I have an idea now. Don't have ideas.
And you said that was the only old horror you had to talk about?
Yeah, that's the only old horror on my list.
Wow. Wow,
My
Michelle.
stripper name. Do you have anything for the older horror?
No, most of the older, or in fact, all of the older horror that I've watched this month is stuff that we're recording for Spooktober. So no, I don't have anything.
Okay, then on to non-horror. I only have 3 things. The first one, this is still somewhat horror. It is kind of like a thriller drama, and what appealed to me was not any sort of like horror spooky aspect. It's horror real world horror kind of stuff. And I think that is different, so I didn't want to put it in the horror category. Femme dropped on Hulu. And I don't usually give out trigger warnings because I feel like, unfortunately, like, just being handed a trigger warning sometimes spoils you because it says, like, oh, trigger warning for this and this and this. And you're like, okay, well, I know that this and this and this are definitely going to happen. Okay, that kind of sucks. But I will say that the IMDb description gives you a pretty good indication of what is going to be hard for a lot of people to watch. And then I had a lot of conflicting feelings that were never resolved by the movie, and it did make me just keep thinking about it. It is overall just like a sad journey for everybody involved, even when it seems like this might be something kind of positive. Like, when you look under the surface, probably not. And it just wrecked me in several different ways. So, Femme, Femme, 2023. I don't have the name of the lead actor in front of me, but phenomenal. Both leads are very good, but like especially the one that the story mostly focuses around. I cannot say enough good stuff about this movie, and I cannot say enough how a lot of people are not going to be able to handle certain parts of it. So
that is
the description.
George McKay and Nathan Stewart Jarrett, I believe, are the names you're looking for.
Nathan Stewart Jarrett is the one. Yeah. McKay has been in some stuff. I think 1917 was his biggest one. So like he's made a name for himself. The Nathan Stewart Jarrett, I think is what you just said.
Yes.
Yes. I was trying to remember it. Nathan Stewart Jarrett, I had never seen in anything, and oh my God. Just there's a lot of very, very close up shots throughout this entire thing. Mm-hmm. And that face, you can read so much of what is going on. And yeah, just I can't say enough good stuff about it. It's one of my favorites of the year, but it's also one of the hardest things that I've watched recently. Cool. And I don't think I will watch it again for a little bit.
Yeah, I remember you making a post about it and saying I need somebody else to see this so we can talk about it. And I kind of tongue-in-cheek was like, Michelle, I'm right here. And then I went and I read the description on Hulu, and I was like, oh, I probably don't want to come into this one as glibly as I am right now. I still haven't had a chance to check it out yet, but it's definitely on my sooner rather than later list.
Yeah, it's not going on a list of like anything where like I half-assed want to throw something on in the background. I'm not recommending this to anybody with that. Just like, and maybe you won't be disturbed by it. That's definitely possible with a lot of people too. But I just want it out there that you're going to find some stuff disturbing potentially, especially because I know who a lot of our listeners are.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, for sure.
Yep. So be prepared. And if you want to go read the IMDb description, and maybe you're like, oh man, sounds like gritty horror. And then you read the IMDb description, you're like, what? No, it's just because it's real life horror. That is somewhat more upsetting to me when it's actually based on it's a little too real. So yeah, that one. Moving on to a happier note though. One of my other favorite things that I watched this month, that I am going to probably put on my best of 2024. This is an IMDb thing where it says it was released in 2022, but it had limited release and was not widely available. I am going to go double check whether I can slide this in. I want to know if I can put this on my list of favorite non-horror of 2024. Hundreds of Beavers. Hundreds
What?
of Beavers. This is a comedic movie filmed over 2 winters, 12 weeks total in Wisconsin and Michigan. And I wish I could tell you, oh my God, not Tex Avery. God, I got in our friend Trumbo, Chuck Jones. That's who it is. Because I said this is it feels like Tex Avery. And then I described it to him. And then he got a little heated and explained to me that what I was really referring to was Chuck Jones. But old animators of things like Looney Tunes, this feels like it was made by people who made Looney Tunes. There is one man in a rural winter spot. Apparently that was the theme for the month, is rural winter locations. And there is, I don't think, a single line of dialogue in this. It is just this fur trapper in the woods, just interacting with his surroundings, and a lot of things are animated. There's also like beavers, which are just men in full-grown beaver suits. There's a lot of slapstick comedy. I have never seen anything like this, and I laughed my ass off. This has been on my list for a while, but I just went like, nah, okay, it's gonna be fine. It'll be good. I stopped everything I was doing because it was just constantly funny. And I think part of it is I did grow up watching a lot of Cartoon Network with my grandma and watching like older animated, like the original Bugs Bunny stuff, like I loved it. And it clearly was made with people who loved that style as well. But God, it is so funny.
Oh, shit. Michelle, so while you were talking there, I did a quick Google. And I just pulled up the official website, and they're playing just a few clips, and I have to see this.
Yes.
Holy shit.
Yes. I watched it, and then I went to a birthday party a wedding party, pseudo wedding party. Because they're on a wedding tour with all their different friends and family around the country. So they're like, we have this wedding here and this wedding with these friends. So it's genius. But so I went to their stop 3 of their wedding tour. But I just dominated a conversation. I do that sometimes anyway. But like I ran into friends like Trumbo, who I'm like, you would love this. Let me tell you about it for a half an hour. Here, I'm going to play you the trailer on my phone. Like, I'm forcing this on you. I laughed so hard. It is fan-fucking-tastic. And I'm so glad that it was finally available to see.
Awesome. Yeah.
So, and then I have one last thing, which I did already somewhat reference, but just FPS, first-person shooter, 2023, made by the same guys who did In Search of Darkness and have the upcoming project I have forgotten the name of, but it's horror video game documentaries. And this thing is like, I think it was 3 hours long. It is a documentary about the entire history of first-person shooter video games. I learned so much.
Nice.
It goes chronologically. So it's this guy being like, yeah, here's how I put together a computer program on this very basic computer. And then everybody realized, like, oh, we could kind of like connect to the network. And then we were kind of like doing an online gaming session that had never been done before. And then I realized I could add this thing, and then I added a new dynamic. And then this other company realized they could do this thing. So it's it is granular. Because it is 3 hours, I watched it in sections. I didn't want to just sit down and get bombarded with information. So I watched it over the course of several days, and I watched like, oh, this is the very beginning that I'd never heard of. And now we're in this section of games that I never heard of, but have never played, but definitely know about because they are pillars of the community. And they're talking to the actual creators of all this stuff that made gaming what it is today. I love it. I don't know where it is available to stream. I got it because I'm part of the backers for their new project, but I would imagine, yeah, you can totally rent it on Prime. Okay, cool. I want to make sure this wasn't like an inaccessible thing. Oh, it's 4 hours and 35 minutes.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it is
But
it is an epic.
you said those were the people who made the In Search of Darkness series?
Yes.
Well, then, yeah, it's going to be exhaustive.
Yeah, but so entertaining because you're talking to developer, massive nerds just geeking out about the cool programming that they did and seeing how it exploded and how, like, they were trying to one-up each other and then they would go too far and be like, oh no, we committed to something that we cannot do, which we say that a lot with video games now. Cyberpunk 2077, don't get me started. It is one of my... It was a very fun time at launch, even though it was very broken and should not have been released that way. How do you ruin the Witcher name that easily? Yeah, so like, but doing that like back in the 90s is
Tell us how you really feel.
I love Cyberpunk 2077. I've played it in its entirety twice. But God, that game, just a side tangent, when that game came out, I'd be like playing and it was like playing it on a harder difficulty because I'm running around and sometimes I just have to be careful because a car might explode for no fucking reason. Or I'm trying to chase after this person. Now I'm flying off the map and I'm in the ether and I have to restart. I got trapped in a mission because I had to go rescue a lady. And every time I got to her, it was just her corpse, which was talking to me, but I could also loot it because it was a dead body, and the computer would not acknowledge that as I was dragging her dead corpse to the rendezvous spot that she was still alive and I had completed the mission. She's talking to me. Nobody killed her. She was locked in a safe room, but I got there and she was dead every time. And then it had to become like, can I clip through this wall to somehow get to her before she becomes a corpse that's unrecognizable? And it took me a full day, and it was my favorite mission.
I
didn't think it would be possible.
I'm not even sure I understood any of what you just said, Michelle.
Okay, JD, imagine somebody gets a hold of you and they're like, there's a lady locked in a safe room. We need you to go get her and escort her to this other location so that we can rescue her. That makes sense. Now Let's say you get to her and she's a corpse. You probably didn't do the mission correctly.
Well, yeah, probably not.
Yeah, and that's a problem. That's what I ran into. But It's a video game, so there is a way to get to her when she's not a corpse, especially because nobody murdered her. She just becomes a corpse, and I can loot her. But she's talking to me.
I figured out why I'm so lost. It's because somehow we started talking about video games again.
Yeah. I'm angry again. I have nothing in the literature section. I spent my entire month being manic and doing a spreadsheet and then playing 2 video games and watching like all sorts of stuff.
I have nothing in the literature section except an apology. I had intended to try and finish or to read my good friend James Watson's new novella, The Vermin's Sleep. And then I fucked around and never got a chance to finish it before we got done here. So I'm going to have to talk about it next time. But I promise I will talk about it next
During
time.
the last Michelle in Review, I gave a whole list of comic books I was looking forward to.
Mm-hmm.
I did not pick up a single comic book except to move it out of my way in all of August. I'm hoping September. Part of it is it's August. I wasn't in the mood to just like hang out inside and read. I wanted to hang out inside in the dark and play video games and mope and think about existential dread instead. It was not a not a reading mood. Also, my hammock. It's been too hot, and hammock is my reading spot, and I couldn't do it. I'm grumpy again. I think it's because I drank a protein shake at 11:40, and I'm not going to go work out. I just forgot to eat, and my body's like, we don't know what to do with this. So that's how I'm feeling.
Do you think it's also possibly because we're rapidly approaching the 2-hour mark on this Michelle in Review episode?
I don't know if we're rapidly approaching it, although Aaron does listen to us on 1.8 speed. So I guess for him, we are rapidly approaching it.
1.8 speed?
Yes, because you sometimes talk too slow for him.
Disrespectful.
But if he goes higher than that, I become indecipherable because I do talk too fast. So he said that I get over my ramblings way quicker, and then you also talk quicker. But if he goes further than that, it is too far, and he cannot understand what I'm saying.
Do I talk too slow for him? Or is he trying real hard to not tell me that he just gets tired of listening to me rant all the time?
The problem is he had not listened to our show except for like 2 years, and then he was like, I should probably listen to your show. How am I going to get through all of this? And I applaud him. So he had to speed run it a little bit because it is a lot of content. Especially, man, Aaron, I'm adding this hour and 50-minute episode to your list, and I feel no guilt about it. Fuck you. You should have kept up on the episodes. Love you, friend. I'll see you in Denver in 10 days.
You should have kept up with the episodes. I mean, you're not wrong. You should have kept up. We've only been doing this for how long, and you've been our friend the entire time? What the fuck, Aaron?
Well, he hasn't been my friend the whole time. I just tolerate him.
Oh, wow.
That's the best friend status. Sometimes you can't stand them. That is what a best friend is.
We are, by the way, at 165 hours of the program before we add in this episode. I'm pretty sure this episode is going to put us finally at 7 full days of recorded content.
Well, I hope after this that I get to sleep for 7 full days. Medically induced coma, yes, please.
Yeah, we're definitely not recording Halloween Town tonight, are we?
You're absolutely not. No, I didn't expect this to go this long. You
no,
guys,
neither
by
did
the
I.
way, you are going to get our Spooktober list very soon. It has been solidified for a while. We are halfway through recording the episodes. I think we're going to get the rest done in September. I would think we don't have a whole lot left, but you're going to be very, very happy.
Yeah,
we have talked about WNUF and Halloween Town this episode. So
we got some fun stuff coming up, but yeah.
And if you're friends with JD, he already posted the list because he was too excited.
This is true, and you can be friends with me. Don't be shy, guys. I'm just a dude, right? I mean, we got the Facebook page. I mean, be aware that if you are my friend on Facebook, holy shit. You think the therapy portions on here maybe get deep sometimes. Whew. You're probably gonna end up putting me on mute in your feed at least, but you are welcome to be my Facebook friend.
And I mostly post Instagram pictures of my cats.
All right, Michelle, the dog is starting to bark. I think maybe he needs to go potty. So if you have nothing else, I believe you should just say goodnight, Michelle.
I'm just making sure I have nothing else to say. I'm still mad about Cyberpunk, even though it's one of my favorite recent games. Okay, fuck M. Night Shyamalan. Good night, Michelle.
For more horror content, visit WeWatchShutter.com, where you'll find our world-famous, patent-pending Ghoul blog and Squelch files, as well as a schedule of upcoming episodes. Find us on social media at We Watch Shudder on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and I guess Twitter if you're still doing that for whatever reason. You can email us. mail@wewatchshudder.com is the address. mail@wewatchshudder.com. You can even call and leave us a voicemail, 701-566-9510. No, really. 701-566-9510. Give it a shot. See what happens. We Watch Shudder is a production of Rat Factory Media.